Hi everyone, I'm making this video to start off our next topic of percentages. We've got a quick couple of fractions questions to do for you first of all, so if you could come off this video, complete the questions and then come back on for the answers. Right, so when adding or subtracting fractions, we have got to make sure that we have the same denominator. The easiest way to get this is to multiply the two bottom numbers together to give 6's as our denominators. We've times the first fraction by 2 to get to 6, which means we have to do the same to the top. We've times the second fraction by 3 to get to 6, so we have to do the same to the top. Once we get to this stage, we keep the 6's as our common denominator. 4 take away 3 on the top gives me 1 over 6. Question 2, 3 1/4. We have to change that first to top heavy before we can multiply these fractions together. So that gives us 3 times 4 plus 1, which is 13 over 4, times by 2 over 3. We then multiply our two top numbers together and multiply our two bottom numbers together. That gives us the resulting fraction. So 13 times 2 is 26 and 4 times 3 is 12. The only thing we do need to watch out for with dividing or multiplying, or indeed adding or subtracting as well, is whether we have to simplify at the end. So in this case we can divide both top and bottom here by 2, giving us a final fraction of 13 over 6. Now that could be your final answer. If you wanted to change it to a mixed number for some practice on that, then you would say, well, 6 goes into 13 2 whole times with a remainder of 1, and we put that over our 6. Okay. Moving on then, we are starting the percentages topic. So the next topic in both the Nat 5 Maths course and the Nat 5 Numeracy course. So we're kind of starting that off just now, since it's, they both start off pretty similar, as percentages. So the first thing we're going to do is very, very simple calculator percentages. Now these won't be new to you. Maybe the method will be, but they're relatively easy calculations to do. So we're going to start off with this and then build up to the more Nat 5 material. So the first section here, we want to change each of these percentages to a decimal. The easiest way to do that is to take the number for the percentage and divide it by 100. And that will get your percentage to a decimal no matter what your percentage is. So 40%, 40 divided by 100 is 0.4. That's all I need to do, and that gets that as a decimal. That's going to be the first step to each of our questions that we do today as well. So just bear that in mind when we come to do the questions in a second. So 17%, take the number, divide it by 100, you would get 0.17. Notice there's no longer a percent on that at the end, it's just a decimal number, so there's no need to put anything on at the end. And lastly, 3%, 3 divided by 100 gives you 0.03, and that's your 3% as a decimal. Okay, please remember that as we go through the next examples. Right, the reason that we did that is because we can use our calculator and the method just talked about to do percentages of quantities. So 35% of 150, 12% of 37, 2% of 295, all of that kind of fun stuff. So what we want to do is a calculation, and the good thing is we can just put one calculation in the calculator to get this final answer. So we change our percentage to a decimal first of all. So 35%, if we do 35 divided by 100, then we get 0.35. Okay, I hope you would agree with that, no problem, 0.35. Now to find 35% of 150, I take this decimal and times it by 150. That calculation there will give me the final answer without doing any much more work. Please don't try and take the decimal of that number and make that 0.150. That's not what we're doing here. We are taking the decimal of the percentage, timesing it by the whole number. So it's that number we change into a decimal, the percentage, and then we times it by the number we're given in the question. Now, there is other ways that we could do these questions, but I want us to stick to this decimal form because it will come in really handy when we look at questions a little bit later on, okay, especially as we go up to the Nat 5 level. So the decimal is 0.35 times 150, pop that in the calculator and we get 52.5 coming out. All we need to do is put those metres on the end to get our units in, and that's our final answer. Now the same applies with the next few questions, so 12 divided by 100 gives me 0.12. So it's 0.12, which is the percentage, times by the whole number. And pop that into the calculator. And we get 4.44 grams. The next one, 3%. So 3 divided by 100, I already did that in the last example. 0.03. Times that by the whole number of 42. And again, pop that in the calculator. You don't need to bother doing these in your head at all. 1.26 kilograms for us for that one. The last one, this one might seem a bit trivial since we already have a decimal. However, as you can see, we have a percentage, and generally our decimals, just now anyway, are going to end up as 0 point something. So 12.5%, it's the same as before, just take the number, the 12.5, and divide it by 100, and we will get 0.125. Please make sure you do that and don't just take 12.5 because that's already a decimal. Make sure you divide it by 100 each time. Then we times it by the 40, and again to the calculator, and we get an answer of 5 centimetres for that one. Okay, that's the extent to what I'm asking you to do today. Take your percentage, divide it by 100, and then times it by your whole number. As I said, please use this method as it will help us when we go through it up to the Nat 5 level questions on percentages. Okay, thank you for listening. Please do let me know if you have any questions on these. You can email me or ask on the Teams page.